love Israel? Israel number one. No politics here. Why you no love Israel? Oh, you hate it? I'm Israel high. 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 You have forgotten to say I'm Israel high? Do you love Israel? You must love Hamas. You are Hamas. I'm Israel high. 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 Oh, Israel not number one for you. Oh, anti-Semitism. Israel, small nation. Israel, tiny nation surrounded by scary Muslims. Ah, you are anti-Semitism. You are Hamas. You are Hamas. No politics here. Say Israel number one. Tweet Israel number one. No politics here. 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 What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the HasanAbi broadcast coming to you live from gloomy and doomy California, Los Angeles, folks. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. Today's a wonderful day. Today is a special day, as it is always. This Newsday Tuesday. It's October 7th, 2025. And I'm Hasan Piker. And this is the part of the broadcast where I will tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of HasanAbi Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button for all the parasocialists out there. So help me God, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you all about that. Folks. It is 67 degrees here in Los Angeles, California, and it's actually very cloudy and very doomy and gloomy. And yes, you are correct. I am wearing Dark Ages collection. The new merch is coming out soon. You already know what it is. You like that? You like that metal style? You'll see a couple different. You will see a couple different new merch coming out. You already know what it is. Old Wives' Tale Herbals. Thank you for the 10 gifted. Anyway, my culture is not your costume. Yeah, well, it certainly is. Okay, so, folks, it is 80 degrees in New Hampshire right now. That's crazy that it's like Los Angeles is literally colder than New Hampshire is. But yeah, this is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news about what's going on in the world of HasanAbi Piker in between the time period where I press the stop streaming button and press the start streaming button. Okay, you already know what it is. Man, only 2 viewers falling off. You already know. They comparing you to cars. March made it on to Fox News. That's crazy. I can't believe he did this. He's just trying not to get fucking kicked out of the country. First he claims he's Asian, and now he's like betraying me. I see how it is. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, we are live. We're alive. Personal news-wise, I ended the broadcast last night because I felt really tired. But I also wanted to spend some time with my family.
And that's precisely what I did with Marat, with Marat's wife, with my mom. We hung out. They ordered dinner. I was supposed to not eat for the next 20. I was supposed to do a big fast for like 24 hours, maybe 30, or a little bit longer, maybe like 48-hour fast, to just try to do like a detox from all the shit that I ate. You know what I mean? But they ordered some chicken katsu, so I broke that. And I will tell you something, okay? Obviously, it's fine. I didn't eat that much, and I had like a little bit of a protein shake and whatnot. I had a little taste of chicken katsu. It's all good, but it's important to recognize that even a couple crackers and like one chicken katsu, like one piece of chicken katsu, it adds up. Because I logged everything. Because I was like, I ate a couple things, a couple finger foods without even thinking about it. And then I logged it to see where I was at, like to see how many calories I consumed. And in your mind, you're thinking like, oh, it's got to be like 300. It was like 1,100 calories just off the rip for no reason, just like with finger foods. So in any case, don't log your food coming from a recovering fat girl. Well, from one recovering fat girl to the next, logging your food has been very helpful for me. Bro, your diet hasn't been fixed for like 3 months. Lock in already? No, I know. I haven't been able to lock in at all. It's been locking out. I've been locking out. It's been pretty hard to keep up with everything. What is this? Good video covering the current Venezuela situation from Preston Stewart. Isn't this guy like super fucking pro American gung-ho military guy, NatSec guy? He's like a NatSec TikToker. But I'll take a look at it. So anyway, I will be locking in though. Don't worry. Do not worry. I will be locking in. I'll be locking in spectacular style. Okay. I am already locked in. Let's be real. I'm already locked in. I'm locked in and not locked out. So I went to bed at 9, went to sleep. Okay. Went to sleep by 10, woke up at 4, watched a little bit of Code Gay Ass, passed the fuck back out, woke up at 7, and then I went and I bawled. I went and I bawled my freaking face off. Okay. And, you know, I'm not as, my cardio is ass, of course, because, you know, you put a couple pounds on, makes it more difficult to move around fast. But also on top of that, you're just, when you don't like consistently ball and you go back to it for a week, if you don't do like a lot of exercise for a week, it's just crazy. Who's on the cup? The king. To commemorate the ascension to the throne of His Majesty, King Charles III, September 8th, 2022. A commemorative mug I got from England. Commemorative mug I got from England specifically for when I was there, when he was getting commemorated, when he was getting crowned as the king. What part of Code Gay Ass are you on? I am on season 2 of Code Gay Ass. Did you see LeBron's big announcement? No. He's joining Hamas. That's what he was doing. October 7th decision, LeBron. Quite anti-Semitic if it's not about Israel. I mean, but yeah. Did you see this March Appreciation post? I think so, yeah.
Complete cultural victory, complete cultural domination. Can you see that Dodge Ram over there? That's right, baby. We're selling them our trucks. That doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. That doesn't fit on the French roads, right? It blew my mind seeing that policeman out here. It blew my fucking mind. You get a special license to be able to drive that thing on European roads.
Yeah, he was farming. He was farming aura. The audience POV yesterday, scroll to middle. Come with me to hear Aaron Parnas stroke his own ego and for Hasan Piker to randomly be on the screen above him. This person doesn't like me, I don't think, because I saw this on my For You page, and like she was saying she was saying something along those lines. She was saying something along the lines of just like, oh, he like glazes Bernie or anything, something like that. And it's just like, did you not see like the things that I was talking about? You know, I was the only one on the panel that was like, hey, by the way, we're talking about a credibility crisis in mainstream media, but like you guys, one, directly participated in it, and two, it's a major part of this issue is Israel-Palestine. Like these guys won't openly call it out for what it is.
Creator in the sense that I come at it from a legal perspective first.
It is pretty funny that I'm just like massive over here. Loki dunked on the Bulwark guy. Yeah. Big brother ass.
That I abide by are those that I would in a courtroom. Nothing I would put out on TikTok. I
probably would have lost my damn mind though if they were like, hey, you can't stream this and it's only for like a 20-minute panel that you are going to get 5 total minutes to speak on. You've had almost perfect accuracy on your 2025 predictions. Yeah, we looked through this the other day, like a week ago, and found out that like I got straight up everything except for PP victory for Canada. That was a big L for me. Big L on my you know, Canadian. I pre-watched everything except for PP victory in Canada. That's it. But anyway, we'll look at that later as well. Let me blast off real quick. Okay. And then we'll get right into it. But yeah, personal news wise, obviously we're back. This is going to be a regular broadcast, you know, regular news, stuff like that. And I'll blast off and I'll get right into it because we got PP not winning his own seat was funny, and it was all because of Trump running his mouth before the election. Yeah, I didn't realize how much the Canadians would have gotten mad at Trump, like how much they would negatively radicalize against Trump and how much Pierre would have been negatively affected by it. Yet... Um, 10/7 marks 2 years of genocide, yet everyone centers Israel in their remembrance. SCOTUS is back, conversion therapy, updates on the Gaza peace plan, Taylor Swift reactions. Canada's identity is 90% not being American. Yeah. I mean, I respect that. I thought that like Canadians had gotten that same brain poison, like the Alberta brain poison, but I'm so glad to know that Canadians, at least for the time being, are not as like brain rotted, I would say, as like Europeans are. Because like there is definitely a lot of momentum with like populist right framing in Canada as there is everywhere else. But I think like direct American intervention was so frustrating for a lot of Canadians that it played a negative role. It totally ruined PP's chances. It eviscerated. It destroyed him. Clearly. Not that it matters. Obviously, like Mark Carney is still ass. Moist Critical got copy strike for reciting a couple lines from the Taylor Swift album in his video. He got the strike overturned, but still, yeah, we'll talk about T Swift. We'll talk about T Swifty. Some good, some bad. But you know. Did you cover all the GOP crying about Bad Bunny? No. I didn't even do the SNL Bad Bunny clips. There's so much just taking place. So much has taken place in the world that I haven't gotten to because I've been just like, you know, running around the world. But hopefully we'll be able to get to all of that. Zoran taking 2 steps back. Yeah, I know. I don't even want to fucking talk about that, but we will. Zach Bryan anti-ICE song. Yeah, that's a fire song. A lot of brings back outlaw country, question mark. Get in now. We'll, of course, talk about the Samud Flotilla, like the Americans. David Adler, specifically, friend of the show, David Adler, has been released. And we'll talk about his personal experiences on the flotilla as well. And also how Israel treated him. So, even Dr. Abdul... Oh no, what did he say? Because I was actually talking to him about this specific thing, about how Democrats were missing the mark on this, on their messages. Did you see Jesse Waters use a repeat actor for his former Antifa segment, Lamau? How is Mark Carney bad? I personally don't like some of the things he's doing, but I want to know your criticisms about him, chatters too. Oh, I'm thinking of Mark Carney's lackluster approach to Canada's involvement with Israel. Like, he is, like, the United Nations is called what Israel's doing a genocide. If you really want to fucking openly separate yourself from the United States of America, one of the best things you possibly could do in this circumstance is to just say the truth about what Israel is doing. You radicalized man. What is this? I did? I doubt it.
Hey, I never say you weren't a swinger, man. Don't you think of it? I might have seen you on one of the west sides.
All right, enough with the jokes. Look, I done 3 years Israeli military. I seen shit you wouldn't even believe.
Oh, nah, he's the IDF. To my Hercules. I seen shit.
Get down to the docks. All right, bet.
That's it. That's why I radicalized Phantom, because he said, "Oh nah, it's the IDF." Carney literally sucking off Israel today. No. There's gonna be a suck off today. Obviously, it's October 7th. There's gonna be so much. There's gonna be so much suck jobs left and right. Like,
did you say Bad Bunny looked like?
What is this?
Like
a twink Hasan.
Oh my god.
That's crazy. Bad Bunny is, I wouldn't say Bad Bunny looks like a twink at all, to be fair. I guess in comparison to someone like myself, but yeah. Will you talk about the Rutgers professor that had to move to Europe because he got death threats from Charlie Kirk fans? I didn't see that, but there is a Charlie Kirk fan who actually killed 2 teenage girls. And I will be talking about that as well. Obviously. Yeah, Candace Owens, yesterday we briefly covered this, but Candace Owens revealed that Charlie Kirk revealed a post-mortem text message thread about Charlie Kirk that doesn't look too good necessarily. Kind of makes him is a post-mortem. Charlie Kirk was actually anti-Semitic. Look at what he was saying type situation. But like, Candace obviously was posting it because she thought it portrayed Charlie in a positive light, but it leaked some interesting text messages, obviously. Yeah, Norm Finkelstein had a good dunk on Van Jones as well. I forgot to mention Van Jones's clip as well. Did you hear Jordan Robinette Peterson is likely almost dead? I mean, that's not new. Hurts my soul seeing so many leftists take Candace Owens at face value. It's so funny because, like, she's just not very good at putting together like a convincing argument. At least for me, like, whenever I hear her try to talk about something, she just always comes across as like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, you know? And it's like, I should want to believe this narrative that, you know, Israel killed Charlie Kirk, right? I hate Israel. And this kind of false narrative actually moves the attention away from like the Antifa transgender, cynical smears, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of separates people's attention at a time when if they were like more united, they could probably start doing like criminal prosecutions and whatnot. But she was so incredibly anti-Semitic and has been. And by the way, I don't use this term lightly, okay? I'm not the type of person who will just go around and start calling people anti-Semitic because they're anti-Israel. Obviously, that'd be pretty funny of me to do, right? Like, there are some people who just are straight up anti-Semitic. And that doesn't, invalidate the pro-Palestinian position even a little bit. There are just some people who I think hate Jews more than they care about saving Palestinians, right? But basically, my point is that she's not even doing a very good job with this stuff, because like there's so many things she has said about in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk stuff that's just so fucking crazy, so cuckoo, so crazy, cuckoo beans. But yeah, more power to her. Dennis Prager is back. Wait, is he still in the hospital bed? Oh, he is. Yeah. No shot. They brought him back like this? That is crazy.
Listen nearly as much as I do now.
Why did they do this, bro? 10 days ago. I think she should have also laid down. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the fact that she's like upright juxtaposes Dennis Prager laying down even worse, right? Like, one of the things they could have done, I think, is like make him lay down on like a white bed, right? And then just straight up shot him directly so it looked like he was standing upright. Oh no, he looks so healthy. Really? You saw this and your first thought was, wow, what a beacon of health. That's what you thought to yourself. Brother, he can't even stand upright. What are you talking about? He is literally 1 foot in the grave. That's some Brandon Health look right there. No, Brandon clears Dennis Prager, because Brandon can at least like stand up straight. You know what I mean? This guy cannot, very clearly cannot stand up straight. So he just looks pretty cooked, if we're being real. I don't know what happened. I think he fell or something. It's just at that age, like, who knows? You know what I mean? I mean, he's so fucking old, man. Like, he is so old that at that point, it's just, it could be anything, right? He fell off almost as much as you. Fell about a year ago, spinal cord injury, paralyzed from the shoulders down. Oh shit, I didn't know that. I didn't realize he was like full tilt paralyzed. Anyway. Quick Uncle Zinger. What is this? Oh, let's see what Unc is up to. Unc is popping off again. This is his like most redeeming thing, the anti-Israel stuff.
The ancient land of Israel, because we are.
What exactly did you mean calling Candace crazy? What do you specifically mean? Precise language can help bring people together, in my opinion. Yeah, I think her theories are completely insane. Even when it comes to like Charlie Kirk being potentially assassinated by Israel, I've extensively covered it. I mean, it's good for me, right? Like it's as I described, like I believe women. Exactly, me too. I believe women as well. So obviously, I can't, I can't criticize her too much. More power to her. But like, low key, the things that she has put together have been far too grand. Yeah. She does stuff like this all the time. Like, there is a million different ways to attack Macron. And the only way not to attack Macron is by going into a legal battle where you are getting sued for defamation because you kept calling Macron's wife transgender. Like, she's literally a pedophile. Why don't you just say the truth that Macron's wife is a pedophile? Because if you were to say that, nobody could actually attack you because she actually is a pedophile. But instead of doing that, you had to go the extra step and make up some insane shit. You know? No exit wound is a biggie, though. Yes, there are inconsistent things with the Charlie Kirk assassination. There always will be. There always will be, like, people poking holes in the official narrative, and the official narrative is murky, and I don't discount that at all. It's just that if we're going to scrutinize the official narrative, we also need to scrutinize the counter narratives. And the counter narratives are the ones that are at least coming from Candace Owens. Some of them have new information that maybe the public previously had not acknowledged or knew about, but a lot of the counter narratives are just like crazy. Like, oh, there's actually a separate hole in the ground, and like it was a Jewish tunnel that someone popped out of, or it's too far-fetched for it to be potentially real. To put it simply, Candace Owens is a politics and drama YouTuber who warps celebrity news and true crime to fit primarily transphobic and anti-Semitic narratives. She also denies the Holocaust and says the real ethnic cleansing was of Germans. She's a grifter. Yeah, it's funny to see like a black woman do the whole like the Bolsheviks did the real genocide of Christians. Like, why doesn't anybody talk about that? It's like, bro, you are literally a black woman. Like, that is crazy. Because that is like, oh, the Jews are responsible for the death of like 60 million Christians. Narrative is like a white supremacist one. Like, that's not even your gripe. You know what I mean? That's not a conversation that you're a part of at all. It's also a ridiculous statement to begin with, because like, the Bolsheviks are goated, obviously. And what Christians were doing, what white Christians were doing to black women at the same time frame was not great, to say the least. Down. What the fuck is up, dude? The way you talk about your uncle is disgusting to me. Wait, hold on. You banned that one guy who was defending Uncle Jank, and I didn't even say anything bad. I said this is his like most redeeming quality, is that he is a consistent advocate for Palestinians. Are you okay? I have my disagreements with Jank, but I call balls and strikes. I didn't even say anything bad about... Wait, can I see what the chatter was saying? I want to see what he was trying to bait me on. All right, let's just run this real quick.
The ancient land of Israel, because we are certainly not the least and maybe the most indigenous people to.
I am a girl and I can't believe you banned me. First of all, I didn't. You just got timed out. Yeah, dude, I'm okay. No, you don't. I'm a lady. What is... Oh, this person was defending Candace Owens initially. Oh, this has got to be like a boomer lady, I suspect. I'm too old for this chat. I'm just here to send Hasan love and support from a New York City Afghan auntie while these dorks lie and smear his good name. I wanted to see my name with the cartoon Kai after 10 gifted 10 subs. Yeah, you're not supposed to give gifts and want something in return, but my heart wants what it wants. Oh my God. We got a New York City Afghan auntie in the chat who is a Kai Cenat watcher and gifter and is yelling at me saying I'm disrespectful to my uncle. You got timed out by Fossabop, auntie. That's an auto timeout because your message was too long. You had to keep it under 450 characters, auntie. Listen. I think it's totally fine to have disagreements with your loved ones and your family members, as I am not shy about openly stating said disagreements. But at the end of the day, blood is thicker than water. I say it all the time. But if someone says they are not anti-Semitic, shouldn't we believe them? I'm not saying she's great. Wait, what? I don't understand why you think she's being disingenuous with her denying being anti-Semitic. And what is cuckoo? She's like defending. She was defending Candace Owens. Yeah, Candace Owens is a grifter in the way that, like, she's an OG grifter, right? As a black woman, she spent a good deal of time working for a Zionist white supremacist institution that was known as the Daily Wire. At the time, she was pro-Israel, obviously, but she was also still very much anti-Semitic. She said a whole bunch of stuff like, you know, Hitler just wanted to make Germany great. And nationalism isn't like a scary thing. Fascism, people keep saying it's fascism, but like Hitler just wanted to make Germany great. But then he became a globalist when he started invading other countries, and then that's what it was. That's when it spiraled out of control. But like what Hitler was doing in an effort to make Germany great was obviously concentration camps for socialists, Jews, communists, trade unionists, and whoever the superior master race of Aryans decided were undesirable. So obviously, even on that aspect, it wasn't great at all. So that was seen as, understandably, a deeply anti-Semitic thing to say. But the Daily Wire, led by Ben Shapiro, still hired her after that statement. And the reason why they did that was because, you know, that's not the full quote, right? No, it is. And I just said the full quote. But that, I mean, there's been a whole bunch of other... there's been a whole bunch of other incidents as well, but it's not even just like her anti-Semitism necessarily. She has every single bigotry locked down. She is the type of person who has used her identity as a shield in an effort to basically say the shit that white supremacists at the time were too afraid of saying out loud and in public. She is a black face for white supremacy, right? I mean, she spent most of her career at the Daily Wire positioning herself against George Floyd and positioning herself against Black Lives Matter and against black people in general. So, love to scream hate when you refuse to see reason. I'm not. You know, people yell at me all the time about being a hateful, bigoted person. People say I'm anti-Semitic. So it's not like there are people out there who will routinely get called anti-Semitic for being critical of Israel. Candace Owens was anti-Semitic and pro-Israel at the time when she was working at the Daily Wire. She got fired from the Daily Wire, not due to her anti-Semitism, but due to her anti-Israel position. Because as Ben Shapiro has very openly stated, and I covered this at the time extensively if you want to go back and see my statements on it, but Candace Owens is a bigot of every order. I mean, she's anti-black, she's anti-women, she's anti-Semitic, she is everything. But what's interesting about Candace Owens is that she's anti-trans as well, of course. But she's not very good, I think, at packaging all this stuff. She does have a decent understanding of what gets her clicks, what gets her views. She does do a decent job of like merging, as another chatter was saying, true crime and like celebrity news with right-wing propaganda. And I think that's where she shines. That's definitely where she really pops off. That's why she's been able to, that's why she's become a ginormous force in the sphere of political commentary. But I do think it's interesting because like a lot of people just operate on this like weird binary where they think that like black people could not be servants of white supremacy. Like they can. And there are plenty of black Republicans who actually do this and play this role, play this job. I will say I do appreciate her not like going as aggro on the Islamophobia side as of late. So that's like, I guess, the one redeeming quality at a time when there's an unprecedented amount of Islamophobia out there. She has certainly scaled that back. But the point I was trying to make is that she doesn't necessarily do a good job of I think, building a convincing case on the things that she advocates for. It's like, but the auntie, as far as like I was not defending, I was asking anyway. I'm really thankful to Cenk and Hasan, who get a lot of crap because y'all built an audience at the powers that be, and I work in the media and used to sit in for Nancy Pelosi before her TV interviews because we're the same size. I know all the efforts folks put into getting Cenk and Hasan out of the way. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah. Look, sorry, Cenk is an American hero. Yeah, it's funny that you're saying that because I was, saying that love him or hate him, this is the one area where he has been a consistent voice in pro-Palestinian advocacy.
The ancient land of Israel, because we are certainly not the least and maybe the most indigenous people to the region. Until you,
dude, you're Polish.
There will never be peace in our region.
We're the most indigenous people to the region. Oh, that's funny. He said, dude, you're Polish. Respect. Shaky Gurga is an American hero. I agree. I agree. Is she actually a Holocaust denier? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't dove too much into her anti-Semitism stuff, with the exception of that very famous Hitler just wanted to make Germany great quote, which I guess she's now saying was taken out of context. But I actually did give the full context of the quote, where she was defending nationalism, German nationalism, by saying nationalism is not a dirty word and people shouldn't actually think it's a dirty word. That was the argument that she was trying to make. But I wouldn't be shocked if she has said other things that are also in the range of Holocaust denial. It wouldn't shock me at all. Douglas Murray is a monstrous dick rider of Israel, and he has made a living for many, many years talking about how nationalism isn't a dirty word, but at least he's smart enough not to associate it with Nazi Germany. He will always say, well, we shouldn't think nationalism is bad because the Germans fucked up and were stupid and wanted to murder Jews or whatever, right? That was his argument. Whereas for Clandis, she was like, nationalism is not a dirty word. And actually, German nationalism was good until Hitler decided to invade other countries. And then it became bad. And it's no, it was actually pretty bad. German nationalism in and of itself was really bad, as a matter of fact. Yeah. Oh my gosh. She has an entire... Candace Owens is basically, with the exception of being anti-Israel, I would say that with the exception of being anti-Israel, every single thing that he has said, I'm not saying every single thing that she believes, because I don't know what she actually believes, because she used to be anti-Trump, for example, back in 2016, before she got plucked by some incredibly Islamophobic ultra-Zionists, ironically enough, right? David Horowitz, rest in piss, and Ben Shapiro, ironically enough, were the reasons why she became this prominent fixture of Republican politics, because it was a bunch of ultra-Zionist, Islamophobic Jewish guys that literally plucked her and groomed her into becoming this force. And then she basically turned around and was like, actually, I'm anti-Semitic. And they were like, no, that's totally fine as long as you're pro-Israel. And she was like, of course I'm pro-Israel. And then she was like, I'm anti-Semitic and also anti-Israel. And they were like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? You can't. That's not how this works. You're fired. That's literally what happened. Okay. So I mean, she's had every bad and wrong opinion in general, but I would say she was HasanAbi hating on Candace is weird. Hasan, hating on Candace is weird. Remember your hot take on Charlie Kirk not turning on Israel? What about that new group chat text? You say that's going to be fake or what? I do think that if you are tuning into Candace Owens' frequency, it's going to be quite difficult for me to convince you of anything because I'm sorry to say this, but you're kind of fucking stupid. Okay? Because Charlie Kirk publicly turning on Israel is entirely different than Charlie Kirk expressing his discontent with his Zionist donors for constantly calling him a fucking anti-Semite after years and years of service. That I don't think those text messages are fake at all. I don't think you understand. I never said those text messages are fake. As a matter of fact, I actually applauded the gray zone reporting on the previous text messages and the previous Charlie Kirk meetup that took place with like Bill Ackman and whatnot. The only thing I'm calling into question is this false notion that Charlie Kirk was inevitably going to turn on Israel. These guys are shrewd political operators. They are tied to the hip with Donald Trump. And until Donald Trump turns on Israel, how do I know? That's a fantastic question. You want to know how I know? Because I was supposed to fucking debate him on Israel. Literally. That's how I know. Because what we were supposed to debate on was Gen Z, specifically on Israel. You are full of shit, man. Still love you though, gang. All right, brother. Charlie Kirk has never throughout his career sidestepped Donald Trump. He was attached to the hip. Once he was pro-Trump, he was initially anti-Trump, but once he became pro-Trump, he just stuck with Trump the entire way, and he got rewarded tremendously for it. And one of the best examples of Charlie Kirk actually recognizing that something was really fucked up was the Epstein stuff, right? But if you recall, his own personal convictions on the Epstein stuff played no role in his commentary because once he got the boss call from Donald Trump, he just straight up said, I'm done talking about Jeffrey Epstein. So do I think Charlie Kirk had a lot of anger and animosity towards Israel privately? Abso-fucking-lutely. They all do. Bill Clinton, literally in, I think it was 1996, came out of a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu and very famously said, who the fuck does this guy think is the superpower here? Bill Clinton also still was a monstrous dick rider of Israel. It doesn't matter. These guys all fucking openly despise Benjamin Netanyahu and all of the arrogant Israeli envoys, but ultimately they still defend Israel. They're attached to the hip on Israel. You have to understand that, okay? You have to understand that. And Charlie Kirk, it was never going to sidestep the Trump administration. Charlie Kirk spent most of his career defending Israel aggressively, saying things that are heinous about the Palestinian population. You have to understand, people saying or people having their own personal opinions about like how fucking gross, arrogant, entitled, and annoying Israel is, does not actually change their output at all, does not change their decision making at all. Candace being one of the only anti-Israel voices online is going to cook the internet for the next decade, dude. She's hopping on this rocket ship and riding it to the moon, and these media illiterate Zoomers just eat this shit up. I know. Is there an argument he was paid to say horrible stuff about Gaza? Everything Charlie Kirk does is like here. Yeah, Brandon Carrot is a good take on this. Okay. Charlie Kirk on a show. Listen, you have to kill and starve those kids. The rapture is coming. Israel's our greatest ally. My producer says Aaron Bushnell is Colonel Crispy. Charlie Kirk on Signal. Shlomo Borowitz didn't drop the usual $2 million. Classic move from the shysters. Yeah, that's literally it. Okay, if you think Charlie Kirk wasn't like one, understandably angry at like the Zionist donors that were constantly fucking calling him an anti-Semite because he recognized that like the floor was moving underneath these guys, and he saw it because he was constantly at fucking college campuses. So he was around these people where he was like, guys, we have to do something about this fucking anti-Israel sentiment. Like we have to be, we have to find a better way to communicate to Gen Z about like Israel because like we're losing the support. This is going to be a major issue, right? And also Brendan is Jewish, the one who did the Shlomo Borowitz joke, the person. I said this before. It's like it's much easier to convince Americans to take an anti-Israel position on the virtues of like anti-Semitic conspiracies than it is to explain to them a materialist explain to them why America is so attached to the hip to Israel with like materialist analysis, and then on top of that talking about like the consistent advocacy, the consistent and pervasive Zionist lobby and the Zionist influence network that exists in Western society, so that the money flow doesn't stop to Israel. What do you mean anti-Semitic conspiracies? It's so much easier to convince an American that Jews control the media and they, and they're a monolithic group that just wants to melt the Palestinians. It's something that Jews control the media, Jews control the banks. Like these sorts of concepts already exist, like the nascent anti-Semitic conspiracies, because you could just present it as like, look at how many Jews are in positions of power, even though there aren't that many Jews, right? So that's already existed in American society and in Western society in general. There's also a long history of these sorts of takes that have played a formative role in even the Holocaust, for example, right? And numerous pogroms that took place beforehand. Like it's a classic meta. Blame one group that you have identified as the enemy always in an effort not to actually address the real material harm that the overwhelming majority of the populations are experiencing. A man by the name of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, as a matter of fact, talked extensively about this. The problem, however, I can't find any first-party direct source saying what you quoted about Bill Clinton. For someone who's against misinformation, I'd say you should research that quote. What, the Bill Clinton quote? Yeah, Do you think Bill Clinton came out and openly said that he said that? Because I don't think that's, I don't think you're going to arrive at that. It's always going to be secondhand. Yeah. Responsible statecraft. Who's the superpower around here? After his first meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in 1996, Bill Clinton vented his fury before his staff about his visitor's apparent presumptions about the balance of power in the bilateral relationship. Who the fuck does he think he is? Clinton reportedly bellowed. Who's the fucking superpower here? It's a very famous quote, by the way. Where did you ask? Wait, chatter, hold on. Not only is this like a super fucking famous quote, where did you ask? And why are you, and I know the answer. It's ChatGPT. You asked ChatGPT. You absolutely asked ChatGPT. And instead of actually doing your own research on this. Okay? But when I clicked on that source, it just kept going. Wait, what? I don't know what happened with that source. Anyway. Yeah, this has been covered extensively. And considering that it's from a very long time ago, some of the quotes, some of the hyperlinks are inevitably going to break. Okay? Chatter was so horny to prove you wrong, he took 2 seconds to research, didn't see the top result, and came back to yell at you. I know. I think you guys got to use your own brain every now and then. It's a very powerful tool you have at your disposal as opposed to using ChatGPT for everything. Anyway, where were we? What was I talking about before we did this sidestep on the Bill Clinton? Oh, well, the reason why I was bringing up Bill Clinton is because, like, everyone has publicly and privately expressed their discontent with Israel and what Israel is doing, or with Israeli envoys and how fucking annoying they are, but it doesn't really matter because they still are attached to the hip with Israel. Donald Trump himself is actually a perfect example of this. If you don't actually recognize that there is a higher order, a higher priority here for every single person in a position of power in American politics, that you always have to, first and foremost, be pro-Israel, no matter how much you fucking hate people that are, no matter how much you fucking hate, like, the Israeli officials that are yelling at you because they're just so unimaginably fucking entitled. Okay? Y'all don't know that he used ChatGPT. Talk about misinformation. Don't believe everything your idols tell you. It's a good way to be, period. Why are y'all so against hearing other opinions out? What? No, man. Instead of using ChatGPT, I'm saying Google it. Like, use your own fucking brain, dude. What? That's not... AI is not a different opinion, dumbass. What the fuck? Oh, we're so cooked. I started off so good. Per Times of Israel, the quote is from the book, The Much Too Promised Land by Aaron David Miller, the deputy director of the White House's Israel-Palestine Peace Negotiation Team. Took one Google search. The roots of Netanyahu's presidential feuds. Okay. Netanyahu's first presidential feud was with Bill Clinton in the book, which isn't even true, by the way. His first presidential... Oh, well, I guess it was. For Netanyahu, it was Bill Clinton, yeah. In the book, The Much Too Promised Land, Aaron David Miller, deputy director of the White House's Arab-Israeli Peace Negotiations Team, wrote that during the first meeting of the summer in 1996, Netanyahu lectured Clinton about the Arab-Israeli conflict. Who the fuck does he think he is? Miller quoted Clinton as remarking. Who's the fucking superpower here? And there have been a million different instances of American leadership saying stuff like this over and over again about Israeli leadership. It doesn't matter, because throughout time, they have still continuously... throughout time, America has still continued to defend Israel over and over again as Israel has become more and more belligerent and more violent. Why do you think Biden had so many red lines and come to Jesus moments with Benjamin Netanyahu, and yet nothing changed? Do you not find that to be strange? Do you not find that to be odd? That these guys always and forever consistently kept repeating, like, oh, we got to put a stop to this, Jack. And yet no stops happen. Anyway. Let's get to modern day. Peace talks ongoing to end the war in Gaza. It's October 7. Obviously, Israel is really amplifying the Remember October 7 propaganda. October 7, 2023 should be a reminder that we are turning the page and getting into the third year of Israel's Holocaust of the Palestinian population in Gaza. We are now in the third year. It's been 2 whole years, which sounds so fucking crazy when you think about it. You're like 2 entire years. 2 entire years. October 7, 2024 was the first year of Israel's genocide of the Palestinians. And October 7, 2025, today, is the end of the second year.
This morning marks 2 years since the horror of October 7th, when thousands of Hamas militants stormed into Israel, massacring nearly 1,200 people, taking 251 hostage. Udi Goren's cousin, Tal Haimi, died defending his kibbutz. His body is one of those being held in Gaza.
This barbarism, this hatred that just flowed in uncontrollably. It really was just the worst of humanity.
Like so many families, he hopes the talks between Israel and Hamas will end the war and bring their loved ones home. Phase 1 of the US brokered plan would see the immediate release of all 48 remaining hostages, 20 believed to be alive. Palestinian prisoners would be released and Israeli troops partially withdraw. But a key sticking point,
I think one of the craziest aspects of like the relitigation of October 7 over and over again in an effort to justify Israel's bloody murder campaign, Israel's Holocaust of the Palestinians, is that it is somehow the most televised and the most like filmed act of terror, but it's also the most lied about. Okay? Because there are things that you can point to that are active, like war crimes, right? Regardless of the fact that, and you're supposed to match it up with 75 years of apartheid, of course, at the end of the day. But even then, right, there are things that you can present that took place that are war crimes. But that wasn't enough. Israel had to literally just straight up fucking lie about virtually every aspect of October 7. And not only that, but also still to this fucking day, there have been admissions of the Hannibal Directive being utilized on October 7 on the Israeli civilian population, both with the people that were escaping the Nova Festival and also certainly in the kibbutzim. We still do not have any conclusive evidence. No investigations have been taking place on the Israeli side that directly points to how many the IDF actually ended up killing of their own civilians and their own military members as well. Shocking. It's been 2 fucking years and we still do not know. We do know that the Hannibal Directive was applied. And for those of you who don't know, Hannibal Directive not used, lie. 40 beheaded babies, lie. Bombing of a hospital, lie. I mean, yeah. But it is remarkable, to me at least, it is remarkable to me that there are still so many questions left unaddressed, left unanswered. People still turn around and say, 1,200 Israelis were killed, making it seem as though every single person was a civilian. That's not the truth, obviously. The Hannibal Directive, for those of you who still are oblivious to it, is an Israeli military doctrine that dictates that it is better for Israel, the armed forces, to kill an Israeli that has been captured by the resistance forces than it is to leave them alive and allow them to be a bargaining chip for leverage in the hands of the resistance forces. It sounds insane, but it is straight up a part of Israeli military protocol. And not only is it a straight up part of Israeli military protocol, it was absolutely utilized on October 7. We know this because the defense secretary at the time, Yoav Gallant, international war criminal Yoav Gallant, openly admitted to the utilization of the Hannibal Doctrine on October 7. The attacks on the kibbutz and the music festival were awful. It was all recorded. Just a horrible situation. Israel still chose to lie and make it sound like something from a movie. They just had to make genocide propaganda instead of reporting the truth and engaging in real hostage negotiations. Yeah, there was a deliberate reason for it. It's because, one, this was a real scar for a supremacist ideology, for a nation that is designed around a supremacist ideology. This was a major blow to their confidence. Okay, so that was one of the aspects. So like there is a sense of there was a genuine interest in it was genuine. Like the people did go genuinely insane. Okay, that is true. But also, because like, how dare these barbaric hordes actually rise up against us and strike this devastating of a blow against our superior peoples, right? Like they're supposed to be kept docile. They're supposed to be kept servile. It's like the Nat Turner Rebellion. So that certainly bricked the collective consciousness of Israeli society. But also on top of that, the reason for why they really beefed up the atrocity propaganda on October 7, in spite of the fact that there was very real atrocities that they could have just pointed at, right, was because they wanted to heighten international support. And they did. They successfully did get a lot of international support because Western leaders were totally willing to lean into ridiculous narratives that were very quickly and immediately discounted. Like people fact checked it early on and found that like a lot of the major narratives that they were driving were just completely made up. The babies being beheaded, babies being thrown in ovens, like mass rapes directed by Hamas, like all of this stuff was completely fucking made up. Whole cloth. Okay? And yet that didn't stop Western leadership, including Joseph Robinette Biden, from advancing these narratives and then quietly apologizing, having his staffers quietly apologize for even revealing this misinformation. You had esteemed, trusted, signature legacy publishers like the New York Times also playing a formative role in advancing this narrative of barbarism beyond the actual atrocities that took place. And obviously on the most extreme end, you had people like Rabbi Shmuley saying that Hamas was cutting off the breasts of Israeli women and playing soccer with the cut off breasts of Israeli women. Like just totally psychotic shit. Zoran Swan, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. What do you recommend in a world where everyone accuses the other of lying? I mean, critical thinking. Yeah, the lie about babies in ovens is a lot more sinister than just propaganda. Israeli forces have in fact killed babies in ovens, but when you Google that, guess what happens? Guess what appears first? Weren't Israeli forces that did that. Those were Zionist forces before the inception of the nation state of Israel. What you are talking about is Deir Yassin, okay? In Deir Yassin in 1947, a year prior to the completion of the Nakba, the early Zionist brigades with, I think it was Lihi and Irgun, the paramilitaries, actually did throw a baker's child in an oven and made the baker watch and then threw the baker in the oven after him. All of those Zionist brigades then, of course, became the IDF. You had Haganah, you had Irgun, you had Lihi, and numerous other brigades. They all basically formed the Israeli occupying forces, the Israeli Defense Force, as is known. Francis Cassandra Coppola? Wait, oh my God. Possibilities. 1, Hamas fighters who believe the 1948 baby in the oven story replicated the same atrocity in revenge. 2, the baby in the oven story is fiction invented by the Israelis to whip up hate against Palestinians. If so, it's succeeding. This was on October 31st, 2023. Oh my God. Were the Coppolas always like this? Is she a part of the Coppola family? Or is this like Megalopolis still sucks ass? Okay, bro, we're not talking about that. I mean, we know Scorsese. We know Scorsese was straight up hanging out with the Palestinian poet Mossab Abu Toha. But maybe she's not related to the other Coppolas. Another form of atrocity propaganda that they also utilized on October 7 when they were lying was the pregnant Israeli women having their the babies getting ripped out of their bodies, right? That actually didn't happen on October 7, but it is a atrocity that took place in the hands of Phalangist militias in the Sabra and Shatila massacre, which was also directed by Israel against both Palestinian refugees that were in Sabra and Shatila, and also the Shia Lebanese population that was in the area as well. Anyway, just something to remember. So a lot of the atrocity propaganda that these guys beefed up in the aftermath of October 7 and they ran around with were things that either Zionist brigades or the Israeli occupying forces had directly done or had overseen being done to the Palestinian population.
It could come in phase 2, which demands Hamas disarm and relinquish control of Gaza. But President Trump optimistic about the chances of success.
We're going to have a Gaza deal, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Growing numbers of Israelis now demanding an end to the war and the return of the hostages, among them the bodies of 2 Americans, Omar Nutra and Itai Chen. The deal could also bring an end to the suffering in Gaza. More than 67,000 Palestinians killed in this war, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Human rights groups saying many are now suffering from famine, something Israel denies. Our team witnessing the suffering up close. 2-year-old Farazia Kabat dying of starvation Monday, according to local doctors. His father, Mustafa, told by doctors that his son hadn't survived after being admitted to the ICU just 5 days earlier. Millions of Palestinians and Israelis now desperate for a deal to finally end.
It's hard to find the right words. It's beyond what anyone would ever want to imagine, much less, God forbid, experience. A baby, an infant, riddled with bullets, soldiers beheaded, young people burned alive. I could go on, but it's simply depravity in the worst imaginable way. Anthony Blinken, 12th of October, 2023. No. You're being bad.
And what's been a long living nightmare.
Well, those talks are now into their second day. The Qatari foreign minister just speaking, saying they lasted 4 hours yesterday. Everyone feels that it's still on track, hoping a deal by the end of the week. Michael?
Yeah, we all hope for that. Thank you so much, Ian.
We're going to be talking about trade. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We'll certainly be talking about Gaza.
So what I'm learning is that the atrocity propaganda not only has a dual purpose, but the primary purpose is the overriding of their own atrocity by selecting the same crimes on October 7 because the consent had already existed amongst the G7/core already. Yes, but I do think that the primary purpose was to still first and foremost really heighten the atrocity narratives in an effort to justify what came after. Because Israel knew exactly what was going on. Israel knew exactly what was going to happen, what they were going to do, the Israeli government, I mean. And obviously, people who had been engaging in pro-Palestinian advocacy also knew exactly what was about to take place and what came before October 7, right? There's a reason why people like myself, from the start, were very careful with communicating exactly who was responsible for October 7. There were definitely some who went above and beyond when they were talking about the events that were taking place because they thought that they could get away with even a fraction of the callous ways in which the pro-Israel crowd speaks on these issues, right? You can't do that. It sucks, but you can't do that. And we're not even talking about like whether you should do that or not. I'm not relitigating that, okay? But it is obvious that there is not only an asymmetry with the ways in which Israel gets to do whatever the fuck it wants versus the retaliation or the resistance against such atrocities, but that asymmetry also certainly exists in the messaging realm, okay? That asymmetry certainly exists in the ways in which people defend Israel's atrocities and defend Israel's genocide. They can be as ridiculous as they want. They can be as bloodthirsty as they want. Look at Randy Fine. Okay? Randy Fine can just straight up say, like, Muslim congresspersons need to be shipped to Gaza so they can be fucking assassinated by the Israeli state, or, basically masturbate openly to fucking images of Gaza being completely destroyed. But of course, if there was a congressperson of like Palestinian background or a Muslim congressperson, could you imagine them fucking doing the same for October 7? And these two things are not even equivalent regardless, but there is no symmetry in the ways in which you can be openly callous and openly monstrous without penalty. You would get fucking destroyed. You would not only lose your job, you'd probably go to prison if you were to speak about Jews in the way that like Randy Fine speaks about Muslims, or if you spoke about Israel in the way that defenders of Israel speak openly about the victims on the Palestinian side. As a Palestinian, we inherently know that there is a massive asymmetry across board in every aspect you can think of, whether it comes to the actions on the ground or whether it comes to the words spoken about the situation. Pro-Israel people can literally call for our deaths to our faces in front of law enforcement and have zero recourse. Exactly.
We're in very serious negotiations to, I guess you could say, depending on the way you count, 3,000 years. You could say 500 years. You could say, but that it's been raging for a long time. And I think there's a possibility that we could have peace in the Middle East. It's something even beyond the Gaza situation. We want a release of the hostages immediately, etc. And so our team is over there now. Another team just left, and other countries, literally every country in the world has supported the plan.
Yep.
I don't think there's anybody that hasn't, actually, not that I've seen. But there's a real chance that we could do something, so you may have some questions on that later. We are very close to making a deal.
The 3,000 years thing is new. Someone got into Trump's ear and made him start singing about this 3,000 years narrative. I suspect that this narrative will be more annoying for his base, because it's like a very common meta to dunk on the ways in which Israel will or Israelis or people who defend Israel actively say, "Well, this is promised land 3,000 years ago." It's a way to bring religion into the conversation, and a lot of people don't appreciate that. A lot of people obviously make jokes about that because it's fucking ridiculous. So Trump, not realizing that he just keeps saying 3,000 years, it was promised to Israel 3,000 years ago. The land was promised to the Jews 3,000 years ago, is only going to make people more annoyed with him in his own base. You are underestimating the evangelical base? No, the evangelical base is gone. They're fucking insane. I'm not talking about the evangelical base. Trump's entire base of support is not just the rabid Christian evangelical Zionists. He needs support from a broader base if it chips away throughout time. And what remains is just like the rabid evangelical Zionists that support him, then he can't actually continue doing the stuff that he's doing. It's ridiculous.
The Middle East that will bring peace to the Middle East after all of these years of millions and millions, tens of millions of people being killed. There's a chance to bring peace to the Middle East.
What guarantees are you giving your Arab partners that Israel will not resume its offensive after the hostages are released?
Well, the primary guarantee is once this deal happens, if it does happen, look, they're in negotiations right now. We are going to do everything possible. We have a lot of power, and we're going to do everything possible to make sure everybody adheres to the deal.
Students ignore Starmer's call to respect the 7th of October anniversary. Remember that one chatter who was like, wait, why don't you... I guess that was Marx Carney. He was asking about Marx Carney, but I love the British framing on this issue, okay? Where it's like, oh, dude, come on. At least, like, respect Yom Kippur, you know? Don't do an anti-Israel protest on Yom Kippur. Don't do an anti-Israel protest on October 7. It's like, what are you talking about? Has the genocide stopped? No, then it's valid for people to continue protesting. Suck my dick. Yeah, today is Condom Hummus Day. Nope, not even a fucking little bit. Because remember, okay, and obviously a lot of people are yelling at Zoran, understandably, for his way of framing this as well. Okay. Everyone is going to give awful statements on this. I do not think a single person in American politics, no matter how supposedly base they are, is going to look at the situation and be like, October 7 marks 2 years of Israel's genocide. Okay, that's it. That's it. 2 years. Yeah, Zoran came out and made this statement. 2 years ago today, Hamas carried out a horrific war crime, killing more than 1,100 Israelis and kidnapping 250 more. I mourn these lives and pray for the safe return of every hostage still held and for every family whose lives were torn apart by these atrocities. In the aftermath of that day, like, you can say this on October 8th, 2023. You can say this maybe in the first, not even in the first year, marking the first year of the genocide. But, like, you know, the time for October 7 recognitions has completely fucking, we've moved on, okay? This is ridiculous, especially because Israel does not give a fuck about the hostages. Israel has consistently shown that they do not give a fuck about the hostages. They've killed hostages. Sometimes they've directly shot hostages and murdered them. Other times they have blown up buildings where some of the hostages and prisoners of war were staying in. The families of the hostages have also stated over and over again that the Israeli government does not give a fuck about them and their family members. Dylan Saba says, Hamas committed a singular crime. Mamdani does not distinguish between military and civilian targets or casualties, instead of labeling the entire operation and armed resistance as such as criminal, whereas Netanyahu launched a war. These kinds of mealy-mouthed proclamations pretend to be rooted in universalism. Peace must be pursued through diplomacy, not war crimes, but at essence affirm the permanent subjugation of the oppressed and the illegality of revolution. Okay? If he does not want to engage this hard truth, he should just be silent. The Palestinians are not political pawns for him to use or condemn based on the exigencies of electoral politics, solidarity, or nothing. Does this not concern you? It does. It concerns me twofold. One, because this is a guy who has literally been hounded by Canary Mission and all these other fucking places in perpetuity for his consistent advocacy for the Palestinian emancipation. They're not going to fucking turn around and all of a sudden be like, yeah, this Muslim guy who was an anti-Zionist for his entire activism is all of a sudden good now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mahmoud Mamdani, Zoran's father, Palestinians have a right to resist. This is a colonial occupation, not a conflict. May 12th, 2021. It's true. They do have a right to resist. Like, on the one hand, I make no... I don't mix my words when talking about, like, the events that transpired on October 7, right? There is, you know, there were atrocities that took place on October 7. It's true. Having said that, you have to always match the events that took place on October 7 within the proper framework of existing under colonial subjugation. Okay? Yes, I don't mince words. Sorry, not mix words. ESL. I don't mince words. It's true. Right? So the crimes that took place on October 7 have to be seen within the proper context. Within the proper context of 75 years of settler colonial apartheid oppression, death and destruction, numerous October 7s had taken place prior upon the Palestinian population. Numerous October 7s. And I think people that still carry water, or people that still heighten the death and destruction of October 7 and the atrocities of October 7 in these words, are, in my opinion, carrying a little bit of water, whether inadvertently or deliberately, for the ongoing genocide. Okay? Because we have to understand the asymmetry that exists here between a Palestinian death, which is collateralized, which is seen as just like a number, a statistic, an unfortunate statistic, if at that, versus every Israeli death is a tragedy. Every single one. When Israelis die, that is a horrible tragedy that took place. But when Palestinians die, when Palestinians are killed, right? When an Israeli is killed, horrifying tragedy. It's the most significant thing that has ever taken place. Okay, we must mourn. We must change the way we talk about everything. And yet when Palestinians are killed, when they're slaughtered en masse, when they are being genocided, no such considerations exist. So Zoran said, 2 years ago today, Hamas carried out a horrific war crime, killing more than 1,100 Israelis and kidnapping 250 more. I mourn these lives, and I pray for the safe return of every hostage still held, and for every family whose lives were torn apart by these atrocities. In the aftermath of that day, Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israeli government launched a genocidal war, a death toll that now far exceeds 67,000, with the Israeli military bombing homes, hospitals, and schools into rubble. Every day in Gaza has become a place where grief itself has run out of language. I mourn these lives and pray for the families that have been shattered. Our government has been complicit through it all. I mean, he salvages it a little bit in the aftermath. This must end. The occupation of apartheid must end. Peace must be pursued through diplomacy, not war crimes, and our government must act to end those atrocities and hold those responsible to account. The last 2 years have demonstrated the very worst of humanity. We must answer it by modeling the very best, a relentless pursuit of our higher ideals and an unwavering commitment to universal human rights. The genocidal war thing, like people are hyper focusing on the rest of this stuff, but it's not bad. Okay. Once again, I don't think that this is because this message is not going to soothe those who are cackling like fucking hyenas about Zoran's anti-Semitism. I think the conversation starting off with this, how can you be annoyed about this statement? I'm telling you what the issue is. Okay. I don't think you guys are understanding my the criticisms that I have, because October 7 is being utilized as a justification for the genocide that has unfolded after. Okay? Making October 7 the pivotal point, the inception for Israel's genocide, is a lie, and it's one that he knows is a lie. Do you understand? He knows that this didn't start on October 7. So explaining the atrocities on October 7 without making a mention of Israel's own involvement, without making any mention whatsoever, without talking about it within the proper context, makes it seem as though you're bringing it up as a way to, in some respects, still justify the atrocities that Israel has taken place, like giving it some kind of, giving Israel's actions, his genocidal actions and his genocidal ambitions, some kind of cause. Here's what Ruwa said. Statement on the 2-year anniversary of October 7 and ongoing genocide. For 2 years, we have witnessed atrocities beyond human comprehension. 2 years of horrific violence, mass displacement, and incalculable loss. I'm telling you right now, guys, Zoran doesn't believe that. I know for a fact that he doesn't believe that because, you know, it's just, if you have been an advocate for Palestinian emancipation for decades prior to this, it comes from a recognition of the humanity of Palestinians from the start. Okay? If you recognize Palestinians as human beings with a just cause for emancipation, okay, then you already understand this dynamic. You understand why when people get pushed into a fucking corner and recognize that there is no other, you know, there is no other way out of this, okay? My statement on the last 36 hours across Israel and Palestine, this is what he said on October 8th, okay, from Zoran Mamdani. On ongoing violence in Israel and Palestine, I mourn the hundreds of people killed across Israel and Palestine in the last 36 hours. Netanyahu's declaration of war, the Israeli government's decision to cut electricity to Gaza, and Knesset members calling for another Nakba will undoubtedly lead to more violence and suffering in the days and weeks to come. The path towards a just and lasting peace can only begin by ending the occupation and dismantling the apartheid. Look at that statement when he wasn't running for mayor. Cool. Now he's running for mayor of New York City. Stop self-sabotaging with these unrealistic expectations. Brother, I'm not saying he should be saying praise the fucking heroes of the Al-Qassam brigades or some shit. What are you talking about? My demand and my hope is that politicians exhibit moral courage and say the truth instead of lying by omission. How do you not understand that? My demand isn't that Zoran. My demand isn't that fucking, you know, Zoran goes above and beyond. I think the omission in his statement comes from the fact that there is an evening out a mention of October 7, which then creates a justification structure for Israel's actions, making it seem as though that's when it started, okay, which is incorrect. There is no symmetry. And as long as you do not actually address that there is no symmetry here, as long as you don't actually address the fact that October 7 was a breaking point after the culmination of atrocities for 75 fucking years, then you are basically, once again, creating a permission structure for Israel's violence, even if it's subtle, and simultaneously lying by omission. Anyway, let's hear what Ruva had to say to see like what a better statement looks like. For 2 years, we have witnessed the atrocities beyond human comprehension. 2 years of horrific violence, mass displacement, and incalculable loss. 2 years of having to mourn the deaths of men, women, children, and entire families. 2 years of families desperate to be reunited with those taken hostage. We remain angry, heartbroken, and once again, call on our leaders to bring an end to the destruction that has killed at least 67,000 Palestinians and more than 1,100 Israelis. Sadly, our leaders continue to fail us. I mean, that's, whatever. While they trumpet proposals of alleged peace, little has changed. Every day this continues. Israel with our backing and tax dollars perpetuates more death, destruction, and horror in Gaza. Children are starving. Hostages remain in captivity. Every day that passes isn't just a policy failure. It furthers one of humanity's darkest periods in recent memory. Today, we reiterate our calls to stop sending bombs in violation of our laws. We reaffirm the need for leaders to reach a just solution and a lasting peace agreement for all those living in the region. We echo the demands for the release of Israeli and Palestinian hostages. May the children born today grow up without genocide, apartheid, and oppressive cycles that perpetuate more violence. May we all have the courage to end decades of violence and bloodshed that's claimed so many lives. Together, we can bring an end to this nightmare. So, I think ultimately, if you put it within the confines of like if you look at this within the framework of like well-established and consequential atrocities that took place, it'll help you understand what the issue is, right? It would be akin to speaking out against the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising by saying the partisans, Jewish partisans, carried out a horrific war crime in the Warsaw Ghetto. Killing Nazis and also civilians in the process and kidnapping others. I mourn the lives lost in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And I pray for the safe return of the Nazi soldiers and also the civilians. Okay? If you were to say something along those lines, if you were to talk about the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising or any sort of militancy that came from Jewish partisans at the time, as October 7, as the Holocaust was taking place, I think most people would understand that that is a false equivalency. The same goes for the Nat Turner Rebellion. The post that you prefer is also a lie by omission, though, just in the opposite direction. I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. Because I'm not saying don't mention October 7 or don't mention like war crimes that took place on October 7 at all. I'm saying that when you do mention that, you have to still talk about it within the framework of 75 years of apartheid, especially in the aftermath of 2 years of genocide that has taken place. To me, it comes across as utterly ridiculous. And I think a lot of people, I don't think you always have to talk about it within that framework. No, I think you do, especially because October 7 is very clearly being weaponized to continue the death and destruction campaign. That's my take. I think Mamdani's made it very clear with his rhetoric that he's pro-Palestine and anti-Zionist. Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying that he is fallen by the wayside or he's like been compromised. It's like Zoran is CIA or any of those things. Okay, I'm actually looking at this exclusively within the framework of optics. Okay, I don't think his heart has changed. I don't think his mindset has changed at all. Okay. Bro, you've said October 7th was bad. Should we be dogpiling you too? I always talk about it within the framework of colonial occupation, though. Okay? Just simply leaving it as such is allowing people to take advantage of this this kind of rhetoric. And his own statement, when we're looking at this simply from an optics perspective, I also don't think this is going to work. Okay? This doesn't mean that all of a sudden you should go and vote for like Curtis Sliwa, obviously. That's not what I'm talking about at all. In terms of, within the confines of electoralism, Zoran is above and beyond. Make no mistake. But my job is to also look at statements such as this one and remind people that there is a specific reason for why he is saying this, right? And in the aftermath of thousands of October 7s that he also personally recognizes Palestinians have faced, it's not even appropriate to say October 7s as though Israel is conducting, boots on the ground military warfare and doing October 7s. Like Israel has access to every single Palestinian. Israel has access to their phones. Israel knows where they live. And Israel has utilized that as a belligerent occupier. Israel has access to all of the aid that goes into the Strip and had access to all the aid that went into the Strip prior to October 7 as well. Israel's taken thousands of Palestinians hostage. There is no equivocation here. It's just not. It's not something that that you can approach as though it's like there's no symmetry whatsoever. And when you approach it like this, you're not even making anybody on the opposing side feel more comfortable, because all of the things that come after is what Zionists care about. This is already unacceptable. The very fact that your name is Zohran Kwame Mamdani and that you are a Muslim anti-Zionist is already unacceptable for them. So, you have to ask, like, who is this for? And I guess maybe it's for the squishy liberals who obviously want the scary Muslim man to at least like say the right word, or people who obviously see him as a shining bright light in a new way to do politics in this country. Will obviously overlook this statement. I just personally think that statements such as this one are not actually going to win him favors with a lot of people, because the pro-genocide people are still going to call him a fucking terrorist today. They're going to call him a terrorist tomorrow, and they're going to try to continue to do everything they can to unseat him, to make sure that he doesn't win the election. My point is, after 2 years of genocide, and this is good faith critique for a person who I admire, okay? I don't care if the ultras or some in the pro-Palestinian crowd get mad at me for saying this. I have, I have no worries about openly stating that I admire what Zoran has done, and I think he is a positive force in American politics. And he's in a unique predicament. And I don't think that this, for the normies, is going to make people think, oh, Zoran is betraying the Palestinian cause. Like, I don't think normies are going to think that at all. I think for normies, this is a perfectly appropriate statement that still very much channels the truth and the most consequential aspects. Why would Palestinians be upset with that sentiment? Because not only Palestinians, but the pro-Palestinian side of the pro-Palestinian crowd understands that Palestinians are fucking human beings, and that human beings have a just and moral cause for emancipation after decades and decades of dehumanization and brutal apartheid. So when you create an equivocation between the actions and make it seem as though October 7 is the starting point for Israel's genocide, you end up doing the thing that, kind of Bernie has been doing as well. It's an admission that Palestinian lives are just simply worth less. There is no justification for genocide. And I think that should be stated. If you're anti-genocide, like I am, you should recognize that. Saying that this did not start on October 7 is appropriate. Saying that there is no amount of atrocity that justifies the horrific nature of Israel's genocide appropriate is the truth. That's it. Yeah. This is nauseating. Mamdani is little more than a Muslim terrorist. It is a disgrace he was ever granted citizenship. It should be stripped and he should be deported to the Ugandan shithole he came from. This is the outcome of pandering and capitulating because it's never enough for them. So why not just stand on your beliefs instead of losing both sides? I don't think he's losing the pro-Palestinian side. By and large, the average American that finds himself to be openly anti-Zionist, including people in my community, are not going to fucking look at this and be like, I can't believe he did this. Fuck this guy. There are some who will say that, and it doesn't matter. I care more about the signaling. You are under no circumstances you are obligated to cave and capitulate to your opposition's framing. Look at this. Why can't we condemn the October 7 genocide? You think October 7 was a genocide? You think October 7 was a genocide? Was 9/11 a genocide, chatter? Are you okay? Do you understand, chatters? Isn't it about intent? Okay, yeah. Genocidal intent actually plays a major role. Okay, yeah. What do you think the intent of October 7 was? To genocide all Israelis? Is that what you think October 7 was about? This is insane. I don't question his morals as much as I question his political acumen. Yeah, I don't think his morals are different here. I don't support targeting civilians in any case. If targeting civilians in every case is a genocide, literally every fucking war is a genocide. Okay? Everything is a genocide. There is no difference between what a genocide is and what war is in general. Here, the easiest solution is like if October 7 was a genocide. I can't even fucking do it. I'm sorry. That's so fucking stupid. Yeah. What we did in Dresden was a genocide, I guess, to the fucking Nazis. Yeah. Tyler Robinson genocided, allegedly, Charlie Kirk. Do you think the Americans committed genocide on the Japanese during World War II? No, I don't, actually. I think they committed war crimes, but I don't think they committed genocide on the Japanese during World War II, so no. Also, that's state versus state violence. You're comparing state versus state violence to a captive population rebelling against a belligerent occupier. This is why it's important to explain the background, chatters. Thank God for this one chatter, as a matter of fact. This is why it's important. This is why words matter. This is why explaining things within the proper, appropriate context fucking matters. Because if you don't do that, then you have chatters like this. Then you have people who believe that October 7 was also a genocide, the double genocide theory of October 7 versus the 2 years after October 7. Like you cannot look at World War II, a war between two states in the Pacific theater as October 7, where the Palestinian resistance groups conducting a military operation breaking through the Gaza boundary, okay, to try and kidnap Israelis, to draw back Israel to the negotiations table with very specific, laid out, clear-cut goals, moving in the direction of developing sovereignty for the Palestinians as America's firebombing of Tokyo. It's like saying that the ANC was committing a genocide, a white genocide against the white Afrikaners. Or the FLM was committing genocide. It's like saying the IRA was committing genocide. There's actually a real debate amongst scholars on whether 10/7 constituted genocide, but I don't think there's a case for it. It's far easier to argue that the attack was a political maneuver by the resistance than an attempt at extermination. It would be similar to any other genocide, and to me is more similar to Native American raids on white towns during American settlement. Yes, that's precisely what it is. That is precisely what it is. It's ridiculous. Ultimately, if you considered Palestinians as fucking human beings that have been subject to countless atrocities over the course of 75 years at that point of Israeli domination, then you would never consider October 7 to be a genocide. It's ridiculous. Any leftist mad at this has to think seriously practically about what would be achieved by a mayoral candidate praising October 7th beyond the emotional benefit. I'm not expecting him to praise October 7, man. I think anytime you mention October 7, you have to mention what came after it, which he does, okay? And what came before it, which he doesn't do. That's it. In the simplest terms, that's my expectation. Because if you don't do that, then there is a false symmetry that you create. And that false symmetry is exactly what Israel and Israel defenders use to varying degrees. It's not the worst statement of all time, as some people are presenting it. Like, I think Grant Plattner's statement is worse. On October 7, Hamas launched a horrific terrorist attack against the people of Israel. 2 years later, I'm still calling for all the hostages to be released and for this war to finally end. It's time for peace. Like, that's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, what are we doing? What do you mean? Yeah, I can't believe October 7 happened. Well, I got into a coma on October 8th, 2023, and just woke up from that coma on October 7, 2025. So I'm just oblivious. Not only is this position wrong, but it also literally is unnecessary. A lot of people are already on fuck Israel o'clock. And I think these statements are unnecessary. Like, the way that they're presenting this is not even fucking necessary. You're not winning anybody over because they already know you're anti-genocide while you're simultaneously pissing off people. It makes you look insincere. Zoran's statement is far better than Grant Plattner's statement, okay? Which just begins and ends on October 7. Just ridiculous. Is he doing this because he's getting an AIPAC check? No, obviously not. He's doing this because these guys still don't understand how to communicate. They still don't understand how to communicate about this issue in a way that is like appropriate. Americans hate Israel right now in the genocide, but there's still even more anti-Hamas terrorism. 10-7. This is pretty clear in polling. Americans are squishy. I understand that, which is why good leadership requires a demonstration of moral courage. Sometimes it takes moral courage to say the truth. It took moral courage for Zoran to say the truth on October 8th, 2023. It took moral courage for many pro-Palestinians to come out and basically state over and over again that October 7 was not, it didn't just like happen out of nowhere. And it certainly wasn't because of the deeply rooted anti-Semitic tendencies of Palestinian society. Like they're a bunch of fucking little Dylan Roofs or something with copies of fucking Mein Kampf. That is what's frustrating to me. Because if you don't say the truth, then you end up allowing other people to also make up their minds about this issue and continue to believe the wrong things. It is a misrepresentation. That's it. Do not misrepresent my position. My expectation is not for them to like praise October 7 or something. I never have. Okay. But no mention of what took place prior to October 7 that led to October 7 is omission. And especially at a time when people are already experiencing anti-Israel sentiment like never before. This is not a time to retreat at all. This is a time to actually stand on your principles and bravely say the truth. Even if you start a conversation about that, that's still objectively a good thing. Not only is it objectively a good thing, it's also one that I know will be beneficial for you. You can't support immigration without supporting Israel? What? Why? Why? Let me guess. Because Jews are the reason why there's immigration into America, a country that was incredibly resistant to Jewish immigration at the time as well. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. You're so fucking stupid, dumbass. Yeah, it was Jewish mind control that made Americans, made America the nation comprised entirely of immigrants. Okay, that's what it was. Clean and simple. Yeah, it's clean and simple if you're a fucking idiot, dude. If you don't understand anything about how America formed as a country. Thank you for agreeing. Yes, I'm agreeing that you are a moron. Oh, that username is, oh, yeah, fucking perma, that guy. I think educated pro-Palestine people underestimate how many normies are not knowledgeable of the occupation and apartheid that existed before October 7. These normies could even be anti-genocide, anti-Israel, and still not fully understand the extent of the previous Israeli occupation of Palestine. That's why recognizing the context both before and after October 7 is so important. Thank you. Exactly. You put it into words that are so easy to understand. Thank you, Social Cat 6. That's my point. Precisely. Well said. Well said. It's that simple, especially at a time when there's like unprecedented anger towards Israel for its transparent genocide that has taken place for the past 2 years. There is no reason to not talk about how Israel has utilized October 7 to further its genocidal ambition and how Israeli occupation has led to October 7 to begin with. Maybe I'm missing something, but I just don't see the equivocation in Zoran's statement. Zoran's statement is not as bad as the average person that's coming out today, okay? It's not. People are obviously going to be extra critical of him because he has spent many, many years being an avowed anti-Zionist, okay? That is the reason why a lot of people are extra critical. We are always more critical to our closest allies. That's how it usually goes. My only take on this one, my only take in this moment is like I said, mentions of October 7 without talking about like what led to October 7 is omitting key details. That's it. That's it. Do I believe that he's no longer an anti-Zionist? Fuck no. I don't think so at all. But especially given his background, I think like any sort of statement on this issue that does not talk about what came after and what came prior, which he did talk about what came after without like tying it back to October 7, ironically enough, but did not mention what came before, creates a false symmetry between the Palestinian initiatives for liberation and also Israel's genocidal apartheid regime and occupation prior to October 7 and certainly after October 7 as well. Okay, you are better than him on this. I got it. Wait, what? Dude said he wants to arrest BB. Eat me with your hyperbolic ass, dude. Lost that guy to Candace. Not that bad. Spending 90 minutes on why it's bad. Okay, you are better than him on this. Got it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to flex how fucking moral I am. Why is it that there's no nuance ever fucking allowed in this conversation, especially about people that I openly state my admiration for? You've been in here for fucking 59 months. I'm not saying he's like CIA or he's just like controlled opposition or anything like that. I'm not saying those things. I think those things are stupid. Okay? This specific chatter has done this to you before, Tulamau. I know. What a lot of chatters also don't understand is that if it wasn't for bold people like Zoran, if Zoran had that same attitude that you are experiencing right now, he may not have even fucking won the election, won the primaries. Okay, it was his position that was previously seen as radical that many people now take for fucking granted because he actually was uncompromising. Sometimes it's okay to say the truth, even when a lot of people are fucking yelling at you over it. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Okay? This is not to say like he's betrayed the cause or anything like that. I'm not saying those things. Calm the fuck down. When is it not okay to say the truth? I mean, I think it's always okay to say the truth. It's always appropriate to say the truth. Low bar, but I think Zoran's political instincts, especially on Israel-Palestine, are better than AOC? Yes. Well, Zoran has that background as opposed to AOC not having that background. Yeah, this is a video that's 34 years old. Nothing started on October 7th. Wait, hold on. Let me see if there's any. I'm trying to see if there's TOS on this.
You have to fight back. The people are fighting back with their stones while they're getting shot at with live ammunition.
Are you never afraid?
Well, there's times that you get afraid. There was a demonstration today.
After church, they went on a demonstration, and the Israeli soldiers shot at them like they do every day. Fight for what is right. And that's what you have to do. You can't be afraid.
But you could lose your life.
But it's better to lose your life than to live under occupation.
Suffer something like this, it's the first one that hit our family, but everybody has something in their family, the same thing. Somebody who was shot, or somebody who was injured, or somebody who was paralyzed.
Or somebody in prison. The most serious thing that has happened in our family is that our cousin Amjad was murdered last month. Well, after he went to pray in the mosque, he went out and...
You'll see. I will say this much. I will say this much. Okay? Just as in the immediate aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination, people were like very worried. They thought like, oh, the administration is going to successfully make a martyr out of Charlie Kirk and all this stuff. And I thought like it would eventually go away because that's just how the media cycle is. And that's just how desensitized people are to watching violence unfold on U.S. soil. And it was not like there was no reason to temper your response, obviously beyond people like, immediately dunking. Lamau, no, you didn't. You were spreading the worry. No, the parts that I'm worried about are still happening. Okay. Like the terrorism designation and whatnot. But I'm talking about people refusing to mention Charlie Kirk's background and his political output. Did I even for a moment refuse to do that? Did I even for a moment say, oh, now is not the time? No, I immediately started talking about what Charlie Kirk had done and also started fucking criticizing people that were doing exactly that. Charlie Kirk was doing politics the fucking right way. Like, it is ridiculous. And this is no different than that. People being like, well, it's October 7th. Now is not the time to mention 75 years of apartheid and occupation that led to October 7th. Okay, well, you're being a little silly. And you don't have to actually be even that careful after 2 years of genocide is what I'm saying. You can only feel that way if you think personally that a lot of people just don't see Palestinians as fucking human beings, but simply, unnecessary collateralized deaths as a consequence of Israel's out of control reaction to October 7. That's not how this story works. That's it.
And there was a demonstration, and the soldiers caught him, and they tortured him very badly, and then they shot him later in the heart, close range. They tortured him. He was only 14.
Yeah, it's like saying Israel's doing the Middle East the right way. Anyway, here, students ignore Starmer's call to respect October 7th's anniversary.
October the 7th in London. A chant viewed by many as a highly offensive anti-Semitic call for the destruction of Israel.
Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord.
To these protesters, a legitimate call for a free Palestine.